Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
Good Saturday morning, DFW. It's a beautiful, almost fall day. Temperatures have cooled down, and we're excited because this is a great show today. We're talking about a wide range of subjects, everything from the hottest costumes for Halloween to a segment we call the Legal Eagle, where we'll get some legal insights. And we'll be talking about the latest and greatest in food in Dallas-Fort Worth, and I'm not talking about the State Fair of Texas, where they have some amazing food starting today. But we're going to begin our show with a really serious subject that is facing not just Dallas-Fort Worth, but families across the country, which is teen pregnancy. Now, nationwide, the teen pregnancy rate is dropping, but there are areas in Dallas where the rate is just alarmingly high. My guest right now, Terry Goltz Greenberg. She is the executive director of the North Texas Alliance to Reduce Teen Pregnancy, and Dr. Mandy Golman. She's a health studies professor at TWU. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, this is a subject that is so important to talk about, and you guys have a federal grant that you've been given to study this problem. Mandy, why don't you start? Tell us a little bit about the federal grant.
Okay, so the grant is a grant from the Office of Adolescent Health from the Department of Health and Human Services, and we're so excited. It's been granted to several community partners overseen by the Alliance, which Terry is the director of. And the purpose of the grant is to conduct comprehensive needs assessment in the area on what is going on with the teen birth rates in this area. Why are they so high? And then we will, once we complete the needs assessment, we'll then implement programs in years 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's a 5-year grant, just under $1 million each year. The first year is for conducting the research, and then years 2 through 5 will be implementing interventions in these 5 zip codes with the highest birth rates.
I think it's a wonderful honor for TWU to have this grant and to be trusted with this important research. Terry, let's bring you in on this. What have you found so far?
Well, what we know already is that we're focusing on 5 zip codes because they have the highest rates in the city, although there are a lot of other zip codes that are very close behind. The 5 zip codes have rates that are 4 to 5 times the national teen birth rate for teen births. So.
Wow. And when you guys first saw those numbers, did your jaws drop?
Well, no, because we've both been doing work on this subject for a while, so we know it. It's just that the public doesn't like to talk about it.
I know you guys are just beginning your research, but so far along the journey, are you finding any commonalities? Are these areas of low income? What are you discovering?
Yes, they are all areas of low income. So this is a problem of both caused by disparities in education, job opportunities, all kind of economic opportunities, and also areas that don't have comprehensive reproductive health education.
Right. And in addition to that, we conducted focus groups as preliminary data to apply for this grant this past year. And one thing that we did find universally across is that while the parents in these areas were aware that teen pregnancy was a problem, they were not aware that it was any greater of a problem in their areas than anywhere else. So that was interesting to them and interesting to us. Other findings, too, were that teens do not know where to get services in these areas when we surveyed the teens, and the parents did not know where to take their teens for services in these areas.
So let's talk about the schools. Are schools addressing teen pregnancy?
Well, what is very common, so we're in North Texas Alliance to Reduce Teen Pregnancy, or NTARuPT, as in Interrupt the Cycle of Poverty. We have people participating on our alliance that are the teen parenting coordinators from 5 different districts. So the schools are trying to keep teen mothers in school, but they're not addressing the comprehensive sex education that's actually needed to inform these kids about truth. Yeah.
Mandy, we were talking off the air about the idea that some young moms think it's like a fairy tale that you get this cute little baby and it's easy. And I mean, is that part of the problem?
That is part of the problem. We definitely see, we've heard from teens and teen parents that they see their friends on Facebook and they have their babies all dressed up and all cute, and it looks like a lot of fun. And especially for some of these teens where they feel like they're not going to college or they don't have the skills that they need to get a good quality job. And so what we heard from a lot of parents is that especially some of the young men, they think it's cool to be a baby daddy, and it gives them some sense of purpose in their lives. So what we feel like we're doing, a lot of what we're doing is trying to show teens that there are benefits to delaying parenthood, and there are things that you can do out there and skills, to build up their skills so that isn't their only option.
Do you find are schools and parents, for that matter, putting their heads in the sand and pretending that teen sex is not happening?
I think people don't like to think that teens are having sex. We know from research that by their senior year, 70% of teens have had sex. So to ignore it is putting your head in the sand. It's an uncomfortable subject for people.
Yeah. Along those same lines, I mean, it is interesting that I do think it's an uncomfortable subject, especially when we look at the statistics. I think we'd all like to think that it's not our kids that are in that 70%, but less than half of schools in Texas actually offer any sex ed. But when surveyed, 80% of parents in Texas actually do favor comprehensive sex education. So it isn't the parents that are necessarily the barrier.
When should parents start talking to their kids about sex?
I think parents should start talking to their kids about sexuality from birth.
Really?
Yes, sexuality is cradle to grave. I mean, whether you're a boy or a girl, gender, how to clean yourself. I mean, that's all sexuality. And the more that parents start using proper terms and engaging in those conversations, starting from where did I come from at a young age, and the more they become askable parents, the more likely teens are likely to engage with them as those conversations get harder. So we cannot say to parents, oh, in 7th grade, you should start talking to your teen because it is too late. I always tell parents you should start early and talk often, early and often.
My guest right now, Terry Goltz Greenberg. She's the executive director at the North Texas Alliance to Reduce Teen Pregnancy, and Dr. Mandy Golman. She's a health studies professor at TWU. Getting back to this subject, when we talk about teenage pregnancy, it really starts kind of a cascading series of events, doesn't it? It's not just the fact that a child is parenting a child, but doesn't it lead to other
Correct.
issues?
So statistics are that children of teen parents are twice as likely to end up in jail. They're more likely to be neglected and abused and become teen parents themselves. So that's not to say that teens can't be good parents. It's just that the deck is really stacked against them, and it's very hard. And they need a lot of support to do it. So the outcomes are not that great for kids of teen parents.
Right. And most common reason for high school and college dropout is parenthood for teen moms.
We were talking off air about the idea that in many cases, the young ladies who are getting pregnant, their mom got pregnant at an early age, and maybe their grandma did too.
Yes, that is often the case. I mean, most of the time we do see it a generational. So, a grandmother was a teen mom, and the mom is a teen mom, and now the teen is a teen mom. But it was interesting, in our focus groups with parents of teens, when I asked them, what are your hopes and dreams for your daughters? None of them said they wanted them to be teen moms. They all said they wanted them to go to college. But when we asked them what gets in the way of that, a lot of that was peer pressure, and many of them felt powerless. I would say that was a very common theme to stop their daughters from getting pregnant, even if some of them felt confident in talking to their teens about sex. But several of them in the room had said they had several conversations, and their daughters still got pregnant.
So the messages that you're finding so far, the messages from the mom to the child is don't do what I did, or are some condoning it and saying, hey, I turned out to be a pretty good mom?
That is not necessarily what we have found. I do think that several of the parents that we spoke to felt like sometimes moms make it too easy, or grandmas, because they are taking care of the baby. Like, it's not a tragedy if it happens, that somebody's going to help them take care of the baby. So there is definitely part of that. But then there is also definitely that part where that is not what they want for them. And they all would say their children are gifts and they made it through, but it was a harder way. It's a harder way to go, and it's just harder. It would be easier to delay parenthood. That should be our goal for everybody.
We are in the Bible Belt, and there will be those people listening to this who say, no, abstinence is the message we should be sending. Is that just unrealistic?
Well, I think we all want our kids to be abstinent. So all reproductive health education programs, including the ones we're using, emphasize skills and goal setting and things that reinforce abstinence. We just have to also connect them with real information, because these kids are bombarded continuously with messages about sex from the media, from music, TV, and much more than when we were all children. And we have to give them the tools to deal with all of that. So abstinence is a great thing, but it can't only be abstinence.
Right, and I would agree with that. I teach actually a women's health class at Texas Women's University, and they're all upper division women, so say juniors already in their 20, somewhere around 20. And most of them, this is the first time that they've heard this information about their bodies. So that's way too late for these young women to be hearing that at that age. So we must start earlier. And the studies, too, would not support that kids that get comprehensive education, including contraception, engage in sexual activity any earlier. Studies do not support that. I liken it to, say, drug programs. I mean, just because we introduce kids to anti-drug programs in middle school does not make them any more likely to engage in drug use any more than these programs are going to make kids engage in sex.
Right. And evidence is the more you tell them, the less they do. These programs that contain all of the information are proven time and time again by evidence to be more effective.
And if somebody wants more information, is there a website they should be going to?
Yes.
NTARuPT, NTARuPT.org. That's our website, and you can notify us if you want to have parent education or education for a group of kids. We are there.
Right. And one thing that's been great, we had an article in the Dallas Morning News, and we're so excited to be here, is that I have received several emails from people already working in the community saying, oh, this is what we're doing. We'd love to get involved. We'd love to help. And that is our goal. I mean, that's why we're here, is to mobilize the communities and get people engaged, and so we can see some real change in these areas. So please, if you're somebody that's listening and working in this area, please get in touch with Terry or myself and get involved. Yeah.
Right. We all need to be moving the needle together.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. This was an amazing segment. I appreciate you guys coming in on a Saturday morning.
Thank you so much for having us.
Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, get your legal questions answered with a local legal eagle. That's coming up next.